Very good afternoon. This is the midday news on Rajya Sabha television. I'm Ashwarya Kapoor with you, and these are the headlines. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar takes oath as Rajya Sabha MP. House mourns the death of former Secretary General of Rajya Sabha Sudarshan Agarwal. Debate on Aadhaar and Other Laws Amendment Bill 2019 and the Dentist Amendment Bill 2019 for passing slated today. Several key bills, including the Unlawful Activities Prevention Amendment Bill 2019 and the National Investigation Agency Amendment Bill 2019, introduced in the Lok Sabha House to also discuss Union Budget 2019. Political crisis deepens in Karnataka. Minister and independent MLA Nagesh quits, withdraws support to the government. 13 rebels refuse to withdraw resignations amid efforts by Chief Minister Kumaraswamy, Congress leaders to save coalition government. BJP demands Kumaraswamy's resignation. 29 dead as Delhi-bound double-decker bus falls into drain on Yamuna expressway. Several injured. Rescue operations underway. President Kovind, Vice President Naidu and Prime Minister Modi express grief. And in cricket, Virat Kohli and Jasprit Bumrah retain top honours in batting and bowling in ICC ODI rankings. India to play New Zealand on Tuesday after topping league stage in the ICC Cricket World Cup. First up, news on budget session of Parliament, and as soon as the Rajya Sabha met for the day today, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, who was last week elected to the Rajya Sabha from Gujarat, took oath as the member of the upper house. He had bagged 104 votes in his favour, as against his Congress rival Gaurav Pandya, who got 70 votes.
I, Subramaniam Jaishankar, having been elected a member of the Council of States, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, and that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, and that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which I am about to enter.
The death of former Secretary General of Rajya Sabha Sudarshan Agarwal. Agarwal was Secretary General of Rajya Sabha for 12 years between May 1981 and June 1993. The members stood in silence as a mark of respect to the memory of the departed soul.
Sri Sudarshan Agarwal joined the Rajya Sabha Secretariat in November 1971 as Deputy Secretary and was appointed as the Secretary General of the Rajya Sabha in May 1981. He served in that capacity till June 1993. Sri Agarwal's 12 years tenure as the Secretary General of Rajya Sabha speaks volumes of his expertise in parliamentary procedure and matters, as well as the dedication and efficiency with which he discharged his duties. He had the distinction of serving 4 chairmen of the Rajya Sabha.
And later, matters of public importance were raised during the 0 hour. Ajay Pratap Singh of the BJP spoke in Bagheli in the House and suggested that this language must be added in the 22 scheduled languages. GVL Narasimha Rao suggested question hours and legislative business in Parliament be translated into regional languages. During question hour, important questions of public interest were raised. Nitin Gadkari spoke about the Yamuna expressway accident which happened this morning, in which 29 people were killed.
Sir, ease of doing business in this country has improved dramatically over the past 5 years. From 177, we've gone up to 77th position, a jump of 65 slots. So we are very proud to be a federal structure in which the central government and the state government works together. But sometimes it becomes doubtful whether some of the states are coping up with this process of ease of doing business.
छत्तीसगढ़ में पिछले हफ्ते लगभग 33 बच्चों को जो बिहार से लाए गए थे, 2 वकीलों की सूचना पर उन बच्चों को वहां पर उतारा गया रेलवे स्टेशन पर। ये बच्चे हावड़ा से बम्बई की ओर ले जाए जा रहे थे। 33 बच्चों की घटना के पहले लगभग 100 बच्चों की घटनाएं हो चुकी है। मेरा माननीय सभापति महोदय आपसे कहना कि बच्चे तो उनको अभी वहाँ पर दुर्ग और राजनांदगांव में रखा गया, लेकिन 33 बच्चे जिनकी उम्र 8 से 10 साल की है, ये बच्चे क्यों ले जाए जा रहे हैं, क्यों हो जा रहा है?
Let's go across to our colleague Panchanan Mishra, who's joining us live from Parliament. A very good afternoon, Panchanan. So, Rajya Sabha, we saw matters of public importance were raised during a 0 hour, and of course, important questions were also raised during question hours. And talking about the post-lunch session, of course, the Dentist Amendment Bill and the Aadhaar and other laws amendment bill will be moved for consideration and passing. What more can you tell us?
Aishwarya, this week is dedicated to budget, and as far as the business was announced by the Parliamentary Affairs Minister in both the houses, in Lok Sabha there will be a full business for discussion for the budget, and in Rajya Sabha today in the afternoon session there is a Aadhaar amendment bill is listed. First of all, it will be taken, and also Dentist Amendment Bill is also there. As we know that Lok Sabha has passed this Aadhaar Amendment Bill, and there was a very good discussion. This bill is very important regarding, as per the direction of Supreme Court, government is not going to make it mandatory, this Aadhaar card. So there will be a discussion on this on the Rajya Sabha, and in the morning session we witnessed a very good question hour and 0 hour. Many important matters has been raised, and one matter raised by GVL Narasimha Rao, who is a BJP MP, that the parliamentary proceedings, questions and the 0 hour should also be in regional language. That was an important point, and Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu also said that it is a good suggestion and it will be considered. But and other issues also raised during the question hour. We saw a very contemporary issue today. A very sad incident of accident in Yamuna expressway was there, and
yes,
the same question on Yamuna expressway was also there. So Nitin Gadkari, the minister, replied that the government is considering that nitrogen gas should be made mandatory while running in these Yamuna expressway. So this question hour and 0 hour, the important matters were raised and important questions were answered.
All right, stay with us. Panchanan will just come back to you. And as the Panchanan was telling us that 2 bills are listed for consideration and passing in the Rajya Sabha today, Union Minister Dr. Harshvardhan will move the Dentist Amendment Bill 2019. Now, this bill amends the Dentist Act of 1948, and it was passed by the lower house by a voice vote last week. The amendment will help restructure the dental councils in our country. And the Aadhaar and Other Laws Amendment Bill 2019 is also slated for consideration and passing in the upper house today. The bill was passed by Lok Sabha last week, and it seeks to allow voluntary use of Aadhaar as a proof of identity for opening of bank accounts and procuring mobile phone connections. It also provides for a stiff 1 crore rupees penalty and jail term for the violation of norms set for the use of Aadhaar and violation of privacy. It also gives children the option of exiting from the biometric ID program on attaining 18 years of age. And talking about Lok Sabha, well, several key bills were introduced in Lok Sabha a short while back. Union Minister Dr. Harshvardhan introduced the DNA Technology Use and Application Regulation Bill 2019. The bill seeks to establish a national DNA data bank, regional data banks of the DNA, and also a DNA regulatory board to regulate the use of DNA technology for establishing the identity of persons. The introduction, however, was opposed by the leader of Congress in the House, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary and Shashi Tharoor. And MOS Home G. Kishan Reddy today also introduced the Unlawful Activities Prevention Amendment Bill 2019, which aims to amend the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. The bill's introduction was opposed by several opposition MPs, including RSP MP N.K. Premachandran and Congress MP Shashi Tharoor. The National Investigation Agency Amendment Bill 2019 to amend the National Investigative Agency Act 2008 and the Protection of Human Rights Amendment Bill 2019 aims to amend the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993 was also introduced by G. Kishan Reddy. And Union Minister Ramvilas Paswan introduced the Consumer Protection Bill 2019 in Lok Sabha. The bill seeks to establish consumer redressal commissions for timely and effective administration and the settlement of consumers' disputes. The bill also seeks to set up consumer protection councils at all districts, state and national levels to render advice on consumer protection. And Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri introduced the Public Premises Eviction of Unauthorized Occupants Amendment Bill 2019 to amend the Public Premises Eviction of Unauthorized Occupants Act 1971. The Jallianwala Bagh National Memorial Amendment Bill 2019 to amend the Jallianwala Bagh National Memorial Act 1951 was also introduced. And the Central Universities Amendment Bill 2019 to amend the Central Universities Act 2009 was introduced by Union Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank. And Lok Sabha will today take up a general discussion on the Union Budget for 2019-2020 today. Modi government's first budget of the second term was presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Friday. After the Finance Minister presents the Union Budget, Parliament holds a general discussion followed by a detailed discussion and then vote on demands for grants. And in the general discussion, the House discusses the budget as a whole, but no motions can be moved and no voting takes place. The voting on demands for grants is likely between 11th and 17th of July. All right, let's go back to Panchanan Mishra, who's joining us from Parliament. Panchanan, we saw upheaval in Karnataka politics reverberating in Lok Sabha. Several bills were introduced, including the DNA technology bill, the UAPA bill, and in the post-lunch session, a very important discussion on the union budget going to take place.
Exactly, Aishwarya. Congress has given the adjournment motion on this Karnataka crisis issue. And Congress was trying to say that BJP is trying to destabilize the government there. But the matter was not raised because it was not permitted by the chair. So there was some slogan shouting, but later on it's settled down. And as we said that there was a question hour and 0 hour in the Lok Sabha also. And in the post-lunch session, there will be a general discussion on the budget. It will begin, the time has been given around 12 hours on this budget. And but before it, around 7 to 8 bills were introduced in the Lok Sabha, because in the coming days, the discussion on these bill will take place. And the most of the bills are from 16th Lok Sabha. Government has now reintroduced these bills because these are very important bills, like DNA profiling bill, and also the 3 bills introduced by MOS Home. So these bills are now will be discussed later in the session. But first of all, the priority is there for the budget, and from tomorrow, from today, 2 to 3 days will take place, will be there for the discussion on general budget in Lok Sabha.
All right. Thank you for all those updates there on Parliament. But Panchanan, stay with us. We'll also get more details from you on Karnataka crisis. Meanwhile, today is the last day for the nomination for Rajya Sabha election for 6 seats from Tamil Nadu. Now, terms of 6 Rajya Sabha members are ending later this month. And outgoing members include DMK leader Kanimuri, D. Raja of CPI, and R. Lakshmanan, K.R. Arjunan, V. Maithreyan, and T. Rati Navel of the AIADMK. Voting, if necessary, will take place on 18th of July. And as the Karnataka crisis enters its third day today, a resolution seems like a distant goal for Congress and the JDS. Independent lawmaker and cabinet minister H. Nagesh has tendered his resignation. And in his resignation letter to Karnataka Governor, H. Nagesh said that he withdraws his support to the H.D. Kumaraswamy government. Nagesh has also expressed a willingness to extend support to the BJP in case it stakes claim to form the government in Karnataka. Earlier, in a last-ditch effort to save the coalition government, leaders of both Congress and JDS made frantic efforts to reach out to the 13 rebel MLAs on Sunday. Now, the rebels, however, ruled out withdrawing their resignations. Rebel Congress MLA Soma Shekhar said that there was no question of going back on their decision.
10 MLAs here. Totally 13 MLAs. Resignation letter to Speaker and informed to Governor. 13 MLAs. all 13 MLAs are together. No question of going back to Bangalore and withdraw the resignation. We are all 13 MLAs together.
And earlier, Karnataka Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy cut short his US visit. He returned to Bengaluru on Sunday to hold an emergency meeting with the JDS MLAs. Congress Legislature Party leader Siddaramaiah also convened a CLP meeting on Tuesday. And in a letter sent to all the party MLAs, he has said that stern action will be taken against those MLAs who do not attend this Legislature Party meeting that is going to be held on Tuesday. Congress's D.K. Shivakumar met JDS Chief H.D. Devagowda at his residence on Sunday as well.
Meeting of their party leaders, and we'll also have call a party leaders. We'll sort it out, this issue. I have confidence that things will cool down immediately.
So government will run smoothly, sir? We
have to, in the interest of the nation and in the interest of both the parties, we have to do that, we will do that.
And on the other hand, the BJP has maintained that it has no role to play in the current crisis. The party has demanded the resignation of Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy, and BJP is also likely to hold a meeting in the evening today to chart its future course of action.
This is basically unholy alliance, and they are trying to, Mr. Siddaramaiah is behind it, and Congress party as a whole. They are trying to throw out Mr. Kumaraswamy by doing all this drama. So we are watching it at this point of time. I don't want to say anything much, but this is the game plan of Congress party to oust the Devagowda and family. Devagowda and family should understand this reality.
And in all, 13 MLAs have submitted their resignations in the last 1 week. Among the 13 rebel legislators who have resigned recently, 10 are from the Congress party and 3 are from the JDS. Assembly Speaker K.R. Ramesh is scheduled to take up the resignations on Tuesday. Now, these dissident MLAs are currently staying in resorts in Mumbai. And after this dramatic turn of events, the state government appeared to have fallen into a minority. The Congress and the JDS together have 118 members in the 224-seat state assembly, along with one BSP and one independent member. And the strength of the ruling coalition in Karnataka has come down to 105, which is 8 short of the halfway mark of 113 for majority. All right, let's go back to Panchanan Mishra, who is also tracking all those developments in Karnataka very, very closely. Panchanan, as we were discussing in the morning as well, but situation, of course, have even become more new because an independent lawmaker has resigned as a minister today as well. And, earlier while the Congress and the JDS were trying to retain those rebel MLAs, now it has emerged that in order to survive, the Congress and the JDS are asking their ministers to quit and make way for rebels who might be persuaded to return. What more can you tell us about the situation that is on in Karnataka?
Ashwarya, certainly there is a crisis in Karnataka, and the Congress JDS government, which is now looking in minority after resignation of its 11 members from Congress and JDS, and now one independent MLA, and who was also a minister, who also now declared that he will support BJP. So now there is a crisis is there, and government is in minority. And the speaker is much more have to do here what type of action he will take. If he decides that there is a resignation, then there will be certainly a difficulty for the government. But also at the same time, Congress and JDS, they are trying to now convince their rebel MLAs, and also their guest house. Karnataka is now witnessing again the guest house politics, and the MLAs are meeting in Mumbai, and H.D. Kumaraswamy, who was in USA, he just came back yesterday. The Congress and the JDS both are trying to manage their governments. But it's looking in difficulty, and as we know that the matter was raised in Delhi in Parliament also. The adjournment motion was also given here. So the national politics is now somehow keeping a close watch on this Karnataka issue. And we have to see that what action the Speaker may take, or there will be a floor test, or there will be something else. It has to be seen.
All right. Meanwhile, Congress and the JDS are trying really hard to retain the rebel MLAs. They've asked their ministers to quit and even make room for those rebels who might be persuaded to return. And the BJP has also called a meeting this evening to assess the situation. Thank you so much, Panchanan, for all those updates there on that big story. And news from Uttar Pradesh now, where 29 people have been killed and several others were injured in a road accident on Yamuna expressway in Agra district this morning. The mishap occurred when a bus skidded off the 6-lane Yamuna expressway near Delhi and fell into a large drain 50 feet below. The 165-kilometer-long expressway connects Noida with Agra in Uttar Pradesh. The bus, which was carrying 46 people, was going from Lucknow to Delhi when the accident happened. And according to reports, the driver fell asleep just before he lost control of the heavy vehicle on the expressway near Agra. Relief and rescue operations are undergoing, and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has expressed grief over the incident.
जो गाड़ी अवध एक्सप्रेस अवध डिपो का गाड़ी है वो लखनऊ से निकल करके आनंद विहार दिल्ली में जा रहे थे। उस समय करीब 4:30 बजे सुबह ड्राइवर को मुझे लगता है नींद आ गया होगा और गाड़ी स्पीड में भी रहा है। इस वजह से वो जो हमारा बैरियर है उसको तोड़ करके नीचे गिर चुका है और वो जर्रा नाले में गिरा है। उस वजह से टोटल 29 डेथ अभी तक हमारे संज्ञान में आए हुए हैं। हम लोग अभी भी सर्च में हैं कि क्योंकि नाले में पानी की वजह से कोई अंदर कोई और तो बॉडी नहीं है।
President Ramnath Kovind also condoled the death of 29 passengers. In a tweet, he said, "Sad to learn about the tragic bus accident. State government is taking all steps to help the affected people." And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu also expressed grief over the loss of lives in the accident. In a tweet, he said, "Condolences to bereaved family members and wishes for the speedy recovery of the injured." And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also condoled the death of 29 passengers. In a tweet, the Prime Minister said, "Pained by the bus accident in Agra, Uttar Pradesh, condolences to the families who have lost their loved ones. I pray that those injured recover fast." On to some other news. On a 3-day visit to India, UAE Foreign Minister Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan will hold talks with his Indian counterpart S. Jaishankar today. Both leaders will discuss trade and energy ties to boost cooperation. The UAE minister will also call on Prime Minister Narendra Modi and participate in a business roundtable as well. And a week ahead of its launch, ISRO launched the new images of Chandrayaan-2. The mission to the moon is getting ready for takeoff on 15th of July from Sriharikota, using the country's most powerful rocket GSLV Mark III. Its lander and rover, called Vikram and Pragyan, are likely to touch down on the moon's surface on 6th of September. The 27-kilogram, 6-wheeled rover will explore the south pole of the moon. This is a robotic mission and will carry no human beings to the moon's surface. Top international focus now. US President Donald Trump has warned Iran to better be careful after Tehran on Sunday said that it was boosting uranium enrichment beyond the limits that were set in the 2015 nuclear deal. Donald Trump made the comments hours after Secretary of State Mike Pompeo tweeted that Iran's decision will lead to further isolation and sanctions. Pompeo wrote, "Nations should restore the long-standing standard of the no enrichment for Iran's nuclear program. Iran's regime with nuclear weapons would pose an even greater danger to the world." Britain also urged Iran to immediately stop and reverse all actions that are inconsistent with the nuclear agreement under which it accepted restrictions on its nuclear program in exchange for relief from economic sanctions. And France also said that Iran's move was a violation of the international pact. Cricket news now, and Team India's skipper Virat Kohli has retained the top position among the batsmen in the latest ICC ODI rankings. Vice captain Rohit Sharma also closed in on Kohli at the top of the batting chart on the back of his astonishing run of the form in the World Cup. Jasprit Bumrah also retained the top spot in bowling after grabbing 17 wickets in the 9 league matches at the World Cup. In the ICC ODI team rankings, England remained in the first position with 123 points, but only ahead of India on decimal points. And the Indian cricket team arrived in Manchester ahead of their semi-final against New Zealand on Tuesday. India, remember, beat Sri Lanka in their last league match on Saturday to emerge at the top of the table of the ongoing World Cup. And hosts England will take on Australia on Thursday in the second semi-final. And in more sports news, the star Indian sprinter Hima Das won her second international gold in women's 200 meters with a top finish at the Kutno Athletics meet in Poland on Sunday. Hima clocked 23.97 seconds to clinch the gold medal, while VK Vishmaya bagged the silver in 24.06 seconds. And this was Hima Das's second competitive 200 meters race of the year. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Midday News. Thanks for watching.